All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hashtag Delphi. Why are they trying to keep the crime scene photos, not seen, the crime scene, the photos, the autopsy? Why now are we listening to other channels and now even Frank Meister is saying people are sick and disgusting to want to see the evidence? I find that flabbergasting. What they are saying is even our investigators are sickos because they have to look at this. So what Frank Meister is saying is he can't believe that people want to see the photo. Well, they want to see the evidence because the case lies within the evidence. It's nothing to do with being sickos. These are professionals. They got to look at it. That's how you solve cases. We can't take your word for it. That's why people want to see the photos. They want to see what you might not have seen. They want to see the crime scene photos because the whole case from word go is fishy. That's why Frank Meister. And the autopsy, that should be out. It's public domain. I know they were underage kids, but that's probably why they're hiding this stuff. But see, the photos most of you YouTubers had and were friends with the people that had them and leaked them. So now you're saying because we are questioning this whole case, you're saying that these people are sickos and pedos and want to relive the crime or whatever. Well, it's funny because you're out there every day just about. And I do believe that these people said at one time you were a suspect. And so was, I've heard so many people coming to my chat saying Randy Gravitt was, Greeno and all of. This is very interesting because I think as we the people, if it wasn't minors, I do believe we should have been able to see the crime scene photos and seen the autopsy. But they are minors, so I agree with that because there's laws. When I was growing up, we had laws. If you did a crime or whatever, and you were a minor, it was not released in papers, and it was not released. You couldn't get the access to that when you were a minor. When I was growing up, right, late '70s, '80s, if you were a minor and got busted for something, they were not allowed to release it in the paper, and they were not allowed to release any records of that because I was a minor and other people were minors. But it's different now, right? This is a horrible crime against two young ladies, but we can't take the word of YouTubers that have already seen the photos and now they're calling the public sickos because we don't believe what they're saying because most of the stuff they put out is either photo opt or has an agenda. And do I agree with other people that we should be seeing this in court? Yes, I do agree. But I also agree out of respect to the family and their young girls that certain things could be blotted out and certain evidence can be seen. That's what I think. You wouldn't see any sexual parts unless there was wounds proving that this was some kind of an SA, but most of that could be blotted out, blacked out, where you're only going to see any wounds that were caused by fighting back or caused some other way, maybe in transportation of body or whatever. I mean, I'm dealing with a bunch of people that think they know what they're talking about, but I agree with the rest of the people. This should have been a case that was public. Things could have been blotted out where you didn't see any sexual stuff, numerous ways, right? But to call people that have to look at these photos or want to see the photos, I think is a smack in the face, because now these investigators have to look at this kind of stuff every single day. Every day. And I wouldn't blame it if some of them investigators went crazy having to look at this kind of stuff. But either the case didn't happen the way it did, and these people don't want us to see the photos and don't want us to see the crime scene, and things just didn't happen the way they planned, or it would have been all open book. This is what we have, and here is how we are going to prove it. And here is the crime scene photos, and here is the autopsy, and this is for the whole American people to see, right? We're not hiding nothing. This is what happened on February 13th. And then I would dissect and show you everything. And the people, the American people, because that's my core. That's my property. We, the people. Now, there's rumors going around that there was people with guns out on the front, carrying guns and everything. No, I don't know. It's these guys playing jokes, trying to get people pissed off on that. But if there was any weapons in the front of that building, being such a high-profile case, I don't care if you got a gun permit or not. Boys, we're dealing with some idiots. And something ain't right in Delphi. Guns in front of the courthouse. I don't know. They might be making the room. I don't believe it, but whatever. But there's a reason. They don't want anyone to see this. They don't want anyone to investigate anything. They want this case over. I don't blame them. It's drove everybody crazy. But to call people sick because they just want the proof. Because most of you YouTubers made this into a fiasco. To lead people on wild goose chases and lead them away from your own records. From your own records. And that's probably why most of you were questioned. I'm imagining from some of the professionals saying there's 1 and 1 equals 2. Either if these guys didn't have anything to do with it, they placed themselves there. And if they didn't place themselves there and they were questioned, well, they were questioned because they're on a list. Nobody wants to look at the crime scene photos, but if you want to solve a case, you're going to have to look at them. If you ain't going to look at crime scene photos and you're just going to go ahead with you ain't going to solve the case. It's no wonder we got a bunch of people in prison already that are completely innocent. Homie, don't roll that way. I'm sorry, boys. You can go ahead and say whatever, but the American people have the right to see the evidence. The proof is in the evidence, and the evidence is in the photos, and the evidence is in the autopsy, and the evidence is in the phone records, and the evidence is scattered all around. That has also been corrupted and tainted. The American people have the right to know. If they want doors closed, I can understand why, and my condolences go out to the family. But it's the American people. If that was my children, I would be saying, show these people what these animals did to my children. Show them, show the world. And then, well, then you got our support. And God forbid it happens to any of our children. And my heart does go out to that family. But the facts are, it's an open case. Bottom line. And it will remain open probably after they lock numerous people up. There was problems before Delphi, and there'll be problems after Delphi. But you know who else? A couple people that said the same thing Frank Meister is saying, that anyone that wants to see the crime scene photos or the autopsy photos are sickos and pedos. That's funny because the people you were hanging around with had the photos. And I'm sure you all seen them. We ain't sickos. We're couch potato idiots. But we ain't that dumb. I can't go by because you got more views and subs than me that you're telling the truth. We ain't trying to start trouble. We're just trying to solve a case because we don't want our kids to end up the same way. Now, oh, hello, Miss ATS News, Miss W. Fox, Higginbotham. Now, you folks have a great day. Don't let these people try and make you out to be a sicko. The proof and the case will be solved with the evidence, the photos, and the autopsy. Do not take anybody's word. I can understand that they want this closed doors and don't want the public to see the photos. I understand that. But don't be calling people that really want to solve the case sickos because you're calling our own police department, FBI, and Homeland sickos because they got to look at it every single day, 20, 30 cases a day of these photos. Why? Because that's how they solve crimes. And anyone that tells you you're a sicko because you got to see the evidence, well, they're hiding something. Now, you ladies and gentlemen have a great night. God bless America. I got no beef against these guys, but sometimes they ain't making sense. There was a couple other YouTubers that said the same thing, but yet they knew the whole case down to the photos. Who was the sickos? Did you relive it, boys? Did you relive your little escapade down there in Delphi? We'll be seeing you boys real soon. You ladies and gentlemen have a great night.